Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to P&M's Movie Criticisms. I'm Miss M.
And I'm Miss P.
Welcome back. And if you're new, thank you for joining us. So, Miss P, we have to give our fans what our fans want, and that's the hot sauce song. So, Miss P, I need you to hype me up and bring me in. Hype me up, Miss P. Hype me up. Come on, I'm waiting. Let's go. Hype me up. Hype me up. Let's go. Hype
You
me
don't
up.
need no hype, you better hype your bestie up. You don't need
Yep,
no
yep.
hype, you better hype your bestie up. You
This
don't
the
need no
hot
hype, you
sauce.
better hype
This
your
is the hot
bestie up.
sauce. This is the hot sauce. This is the hot sauce. What's the hot sauce? What's the hot sauce? What's the hot sauce? Yes, that's what we're letting you know. The hot sauce. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss P. I needed that for my day and for this. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, when we do a film, we gotta give it the hot sauce, but first, Miss P, can you tell everybody what we're reviewing today?
Today we are reviewing Woman of the Hour.
That's right, which is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So, Miss Anna Kendrick, it is a pleasure to be reviewing your directorial debut. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to tell you what the hot sauce is. But first, I should explain our hot sauce chart. So, what's the hot sauce, everybody? Well, at the top of the list, there's the Carolina Reaper. There's nothing hotter. This movie has everything that grips your interest. Second is the ghost pepper. It's hot, but it's missing something. Third on the list is the habanero. It's a good movie. You enjoyed it. It kept your attention. Jalapeno is like, meh, it's all right. And then comes the bell pepper at the bottom. It's please just give me my money back. And while you're doing that, I want the minutes left of my life back too. With that being said, Miss P, how do you rate Woman of the Hour?
I'm going to give it a ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper. Okay. Okay. A ghost pepper. We'll get into why. Okay. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking. And I, too, am going to give this a ghost pepper.
We agree. Look at there.
We agree. But, ladies and gentlemen, there has to be a reason. Okay? Always reasons, which is why we have P&M's movie criticisms criteria. Miss P, can you introduce this, please?
Sure can. Okay, so coming in hot at number 9, we have Do We Like It or Do We Love It? Number 8, is it historically accurate? Number 7, did it strike my emotion? Number 6, did it keep my attention? Number 5, what are the production elements? Number 4, the directing. Number 3, the quality of acting. Number 2, the sound quality and effects. And coming in at number 1, my favorite, cinematography.
That's right, everybody. Miss P's favorite, cinematography. Well, Miss P, number 9. Do we like it or do we love it?
I liked it and felt very triggered. I'm not going to say I love it because it really happened. So it's in between that like and love, but I more so liked it because it was very triggering.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, definitely. Me too. It is because, there's a lot in this film. And I guess let's talk about why it triggers. I agree that it triggers. Let's talk about why it triggers feelings, okay? And why we're both in between a like it and love it. Not, we're not going to be like, oh, yes, I love this. Because it's not that, right? But I guess that brings us to number 8. Is it historically accurate? And one of those things about it being triggering is that, you live on this earth as a female. Many times you're dismissed, just like our characters here, dismissed. There's a murderer. There's a murderer. He's murdered. He's killed before. He's raped and he's killed. And you're dismissed, right? Your words, your feelings, your emotions are just dismissed. Like what you said is insane, it's not important, and it's not worthy to look into. So I think this was a really good film that Miss Anna Kendrick really did choose to debut. I mean, I think it's fascinating, really. So Anna, that's what's up, So this is, I think, is very interesting. So with that being said, Miss P, what else do you have to say about this movie? Because it is Miss P, though, she knows a lot about it, meaning because this movie is based on a true story, right, Miss P?
This is. It's loosely based, but more so true, on the real life of Cheryl Bradshaw, who was a struggling actress, and she was going on auditions, and people were looking at her body rather than her words, like they really wasn't paying attention. This film is a lot about misogyny. It's very misogynistic because all the men are dismissive of the women. Every single man in this movie is very dismissive. So that happened. So Rodney Alcala, he was a real true life murderer. He murdered, strangled, raped, killed a lot of people. They said that it could have been 130 people plus. They don't know. But what they do know is he took a lot of pictures of women. And some of these women, people don't know who they are. They're coming forward, people are coming forward saying, oh, that was me. And this is my story with him. And this is what happened. And I got away. And how he got caught was the person that he did inappropriate things to finally was able to escape and get away. And she called the police and they came and they arrested him. While waiting for trial, he was released on bail. He got out. He killed two more people while waiting on trial. Then he was um, rearrested in 1979, and he basically died in jail. But the thing is, the teenager that he did all that inappropriateness to
Amy,
came
played by Autumn Beth.
came
Amy.
and put that nail in that coffin, and he died in prison. He never got out again.
He never should have been up for acquittal. Never.
Mhm.
Never. Let's talk about this. It's one of those things. You have the game show host, Ed, played by Tony Hell in that horrible toupee, a wig, They're picking on them at the time, right? That hair, oh my goodness. Gosh. Ed, yes, he's dismissive. Be pretty and smile. Don't be smart. You'll intimidate them. Okay? He goes out with her neighbor Terry, played by Pete Holmes. Pete, they're having a good conversation, but Pete reaches out his hand to touch her. Unnecessary. That was not the moment, okay, for him to just reach out and touch her. And she's like, oh, no, no. And then he's discouraged. He's deflated. And he's like sitting there just depressed and everything because he's been rejected and he's misread the situation. You're laughing. Just because she's laughing, it doesn't mean you can touch her. Newsflash. So she's like, no, but no, it's okay. So it's okay. She doesn't like him. The way she reaches back from him, like she clearly is not into him. But because he's so downcast and everything with his feelings, okay, and you cut to the next scene and she slept with him. Really? Real
Mhm.
I was like, Cheryl. Really, Cheryl? Really, Cheryl? And by the way, Cheryl is herself portrayed by Anna Kendrick. So Anna Kendrick, she is the director of this film. She's portraying Cheryl, and she's also an executive producer on this film as well.
And if
So,
you don't know her, she's from Pitch Perfect.
mhm.
That's her claim to fame is Pitch Perfect. Everybody knows, one, two, and three. So she has a following from that movie because it was so funny. But in this movie, she was the director. She was the executive producer. She also, just a little bit, here's a random fact for you. Just wanted to put that in that she donated her whole salary to those two charities
Miss P.
as well. Just want to put that out there.
Okay, excellent.
Miss M?
So,
Sure can. Andrew Kendrick made no money from the film because she donated her pay to RAIN, which is Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, and to the National Center for Victims of Violent Crimes. These two organizations are the two of the country's leading nonprofits that support survivors of sexual abuse and violence.
yes, yeah. So definitely, and I think that's very important because another fact, 1 in 4 women are victims of crimes like these. Domestic abuse, domestic violence. It's a bad issue, and I think this film talks about this. So one of the reasons why we're bringing this up is because this helps to move our story forward. Okay, this definitely helps. Now the other people in here, the other males, you have Bachelor number two, played by Jedediah Goodacre. Okay, and then you have Bachelor number one, played by Matt Vizer. Okay. And Matt, the Bachelor number one, I mean, he doesn't say too much, right? But Bachelor number two, so Rodney puts him out there with his prerequisites for breast size. Right. So not to mention then, I'm looking at our actor list here, but I don't see the name of the security guard. He's not so far. I don't see him in that list. But the security guard, he himself, he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to Laura.
The custodian is George Eliot. He's played by George Eliot.
Oh yeah, that's the custodian. But talking about the security guard leads her to George Eliot, lying, saying he's the producer, and he lies to Laura. We'll talk more about Laura later, played by Nicolette Robinson. So our protagonist here, Cheryl, she doesn't like her neighbor Terry. But yet she sleeps with him to appease him simply because he misread a situation. Listen, if you don't like a guy, you don't like a guy. You're two adults. Just be honest with each other and upfront, and let's move on with our lives, right? So we'll talk about how this moves the story forward, but I want to get up our list a bit more, and because we kind of really we more go over that the story arc more towards foreign directing.
The security guard, by the way, is Michael Johnson. He played Harold. He was the booth security guard.
Okay, so the security guard's name is Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. So, number 7. Did it strike my emotions? What about, did it strike your emotions, Miss P?
Yes, because it triggered. But I want to go back really quick about it being historically accurate. Sorry, guys. I know. But
There's
let's
no
go back.
apologies. You gotta
And
go back to history. History is important.
so let's go back. So the dating game was really big from the fees all the way to about 79. And then that's when they stopped doing it. But the whole premise of it was you have a bachelorette and 3 bachelors. You have bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, bachelor number 3, right? So she, the bachelorette, would ask the 3 men different types of questions just to see. And at the end of the whole thing, she would pick the person that she wanted. And so the serial killer was on the show. There was a girl in the audience who said, "This man killed my friend." And basically, what
Right.
Miss M was talking about was he led her all the way out into the lobby and said the executive producer was coming. So I just wanted to give more context of what the actual film was about. It was about the struggling actress. She was on the, the dating show, and she picked the serial killer. But let's move forward because I don't want to ruin it because we're going to talk about the acting soon. So, did it keep my attention?
Emotions, emotion.
Oh, did it strike my emotions? Yes, it triggered me because I was just like, this man is creepy. You know something's wrong with him because at the very, very, very beginning scene, right? He's making this lady talk out her trauma. And it's kind of like he loves when women have trauma and he can feel that trauma. And he's just like, yes, continue to talk to me. Yes, get the picture, snap the picture. Is that okay? Snap the picture. And he attacks them. He attacks them. So that's why, and it's just triggering how they did it. And the movie jumped around a lot because it wasn't just a straight, like, these are all the killings that he did. And, it wasn't a true life, true crime type of movie. It was more or less like based off of Cheryl and what she did and then what he did. So
Yeah.
you have a parallel between 2 totally different people in one movie doing 2 separate things. She's just living her life trying to make it as a struggling actress. He's trying to fit into society by saying, "Oh, I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me. You're beautiful. You could be a model." What woman doesn't want to hear things like that, you know? Um, and he gains their trust. But you have to remember this is from the 70s now. So he gains their trust and they get into his car and he slaughters them. It's like sheep to
Yeah.
the slaughter.
And it's the 70s. Since it's the 70s, there's not too much trust to gain. You know, you're hitchhiking, you know, the stranger danger culture was not a thing, okay? Stranger danger. Stranger danger came out later, okay? People were hitchhiking with people in those days. Certainly before that, you had the summer of 69. People are doing different things. They're living their best lives out here being free. And then people are like, whoa. You know, you're the underbelly of society. It's like, wait a minute, I can take advantage of this. There's a lot of young girls out there alone. Let's go for it, right? And the underbelly of society finally rears its head to go ahead and take that step forward to making that strike, right? There's a that strike. So Rodney Alcala, the name of our serial killer, who is portrayed by Daniel Zavato. Very interesting. From the moment I saw him, I knew. I was like, I didn't watch any trailers of this film at all, but when I saw him, I knew. He does such a good job with this character. But yeah, it struck my emotions. It's definitely struck my emotions because, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening about a monster. It's as if nobody cares, right? Until the monster's got you gripped in its claws. Then you start to care, right? Then you start to care. So for number 6, Miss P, did it keep your attention?
It did. Here's another backstory thing. The real Rodney Alcala graduated. No, see, listen to this. This is what's scary. He was groomed almost, because let me tell you why. He graduated from UCLA for real. He did the School of Fine Arts and he studied film under Roman Pulowski at NYC.
I guess that brings us to number 5, production elements. All right, Miss P, you know all about those production elements.
So with the production elements, the film was sent to Netflix acquired this film for $11 million after it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. So Netflix got it for $11 million. It's been on Netflix. Yeah, let me see. Give me one moment. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the production was good quality for what it was. It wasn't a true crime investigation type of movie. It wasn't I'm going to show you gore every 5 seconds. It just made you feel very, very uncomfortable. And when you
As you
feel
should.
uncomfortable in a movie, it makes you want to be like, don't go in there. Don't do this. Don't sit down. Don't accept the ride. Just keep walking. Just keep
Keep
going.
walking. Keep going.
Yeah.
Because Cheryl, I think as our protagonist Cheryl needs to listen to her gut. You know you didn't want to sleep with Terry, your neighbor. You know you're not into him. Oh, so he pouted because you're not into him. That's a grown man. Let him be an adult. He's an adult, okay? And you get rejected. Let's be real. So, you don't sleep with him just because he pouts, okay? So I was nervous for Cheryl when she did come finally have to encounter Rodney. Because I'm like, oh, girl, she's going to, I already know from how she handled Terry, how she was going to handle Rodney. She was going to do too much, and she did. But let's talk about those production elements a little bit more before we really start to go into the directing and the acting. It's cuts in between the past and the present, so it's not a chronological straight line. Okay, you're cutting in between 1971 and 1979. Okay, you're cutting in between the different years of his murders, so you have his murder history interwoven into the present story timeline is what's happening here. And so I really liked the way they chose to tell the story here. I really like that she went with this direction for telling story here. So nice, and I liked it. Miss Miss P liked it too. And I like the transitions. For example, when Cheryl is about to go on to the dating game show and they're drawing back the doors, and as the doors draw back, more and more of that stage light gets into your eyes. And you see that light, it's a bright light, it's coming to your eyes. And then there's a transition, okay? To another scene, but this time it is a bright, 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 bright sun coming out over, I believe it's Amy, the runaway. So I really enjoyed that because when you intercut those scenes like that, those shots like those scenes, it gives you that feeling that if Cheryl's not careful, she's going to become a victim because she has a person. Laura's trying to help her, but nobody's listening to Laura. They're just ignoring her. Laura's trying to get help, and even her she gets mad at her boyfriend for being dismissive towards her, right? Here's this, so I'm like, oh, this is a really good boyfriend. Look at him. She's disappeared after having these flashbacks of her friend being raped and murdered, you know. And he goes looking for her. I'm like, okay, boyfriend, you're gonna go see about her, see how she's doing. I'm like, all right, this is a really good guy. But then even he becomes dismissive, right? Until she says, get out of the car, right? Get out, right? He's not listening, right? So, and that's where the ball drops with him. And it's like, man, you need to listen, okay? You know, you have mothers, you have sisters, you have wives and daughters, little baby girls who are going to go out and traverse this world. And it's up to you to listen, okay? Listen, because they're not listening. I think that is a wonderful film. And as far as the production elements, I do like the how a lot of those shots were taken and how I like the shot design in the foreground, you know, as the movie progresses. And because Rodney does so much work to appear to be normal, okay, he is very well practiced at being a charmer. But if you study serial killers and if you've read about them, you know that they're very naturally charming, very naturally appealing. And they know what to say, how to say it, and when to say it, because that's all about charm, okay? That's what encompasses this personality trait. And so he says all the right things on a dating show. He answers all the questions. And let's not forget that Cheryl adds questions of depth instead of the superficial questions she's given, right, Miss P?
That's correct.
Right? And they're more interesting questions. Remember, so Ed is like, whoa, whoa, the host is like, okay, okay, you know, maybe you're doing too much. And then Cheryl talks to the audience, no, right? We're having fun, right? And the audience claps and laughs. They love it. They love what she's doing. They love the questions she's asking and the response that is getting from the bachelors, right? The Bachelors number one and two, they just fall into all types of a trap. But Bachelor number three, Rodney Alcala, boy, does he know how to answer those questions. And of course, he wins.
But here's the thing.
Spoiler alert.
It shows you how much of an educated white guy could get away with. He was very educated. He was very knowledgeable,
Yep.
right? 1977, he had already been questioned by the police once.
Yep.
So it's just how far it was kind of like he needed an ego boost. How far can I get away with it? And he didn't mind showing off his collection of
His
macabre
trophy.
photos.
His crime trophies. Because, you know, serial killers love their trophies.
And the one that disturbed me the most was the girl under the bubbles in the bathtub with
Yes.
her eyes wide open, looking straight up, and she had bubbles coming up. And that was terrifying. But anyway, I just want to throw that in there because and then here's another thing. Before we get to that, we just finished the production elements. So now we're going to get with the directing.
Wait. I'm not done with the production element.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not done. I'm not done. So you're right. So that's the girl under the bubbles. Okay, we're looking at the process of death. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're witnessing. And I just wanted to add on to what you said, Miss P, about being educated and being an educated white male. Yeah, you can get away with a lot. This is not unlike Ted Bundy. And Ted Bundy He had a trial. He wasn't even he was this is not just a questioning. Ted Bundy he got questioned. Ted Bundy went to his first trial. Ted Bundy got away scot free in the first trial because he was all American, handsome, and just he had that look of a politician. Because I think he was actually it was in politics. He had the look, the talk, everything, the charm. And for Ted Bundy, if you know about him, if you studied about him, read about him, okay, you know that he had to have a little ego boost too. He started stealing. So he was like, oh boy, nobody's even looking at me. I can get away with anything. And he started doing more and more until he became just like Rodney Alcala. He said, I can get away with anything. He started murdering. Same thing. So I just wanted to touch on that because Miss P, I think you're right. This is what happens when a person gets lost in their ego.
It turns you into a killer, literally.
And it's a part of society's fault. And I think that brings us to number 4, directing. Society did this. Society being dismissive, not looking at the facts, not listening. And then you're not even bothering to look at the facts because in order to look at the facts, you need to first listen to a person. There's a murderer. He raped and killed my friend. This security guard, you said Harold, he didn't care. He didn't care. What was she doing in there? I guess maybe he thought it was just a young, pretty girl trying to be on television. Just of course she wants to talk to the executive producer by crying about rape and murder. Yeah, that's definitely how you get an executive producer's attention. Yeah, okay, that's the way to do it. So I think when it comes to the directing and the shot design, they don't listen to Laura, again, portrayed by Nicolette Robinson. Cheryl comes out of the movie studio, they rush her out. They close the door like good riddance, right? But she doesn't care because she feels like she did a great job on the show, and she did. But guess who's waiting for her? Rodney. And then what does Rodney start doing, Miss P?
Rodney was just sicko. He was just a sicko. Like, here's the thing that bothered me. Now, here's from a directing standpoint that I loved, where they go into that little restaurant and they're sitting there and Rodney's like, yeah, let's drink some more. And the waitress is looking at them both and he's turned around. So his back is to Cheryl and Cheryl shakes her head real fast, no. And so the waitress is like, okay, I'm not going to serve you anymore. You missed the, call for last call. The bar's closed. And he was like, well, I guess we're going to have to go somewhere else. And when they get outside, he's like, and he does that weird touch thing again. Like, it was so unnecessary. He kept touching her over and over and over in different ways. When she won, she gave him a hug. Then his hand slid all the way down mid back and he was rubbing her back. That was awkward. I don't know you. You don't know me to touch me that way.
Exactly. And Terry does that. There's so many men who do that, in this movie.
And then the best part of the whole directing for me, the best part was the intensity of where they were in that dimly lit parking lot. And he's like, can I get your number? And she gives him a fake number. And he's like, well, can you tell me your number? Because sometimes the fours look like nines. And she didn't say anything. And she's just like, no. And basically, it's like, okay, well, I guess we're not going to go to Carmel then. She's like, no. Basically,
This
what
is the
happened.
first time that Cheryl puts her foot down. Again, she didn't like this guy. She didn't like this guy from the beginning. He never should have gotten as far as he did with her in the restaurant because she didn't like him. She didn't like Terry. She said, oh, she catered to Terry. She pandered to Terry just because he does a little pout, right? But let adults be adults, okay? Rodney comes up after waiting for her to come out, right? And she doesn't want to talk to him then. You can clearly see this. But yet, even and still, they end up at a restaurant. You know you should not be in a restaurant with a man that you didn't even want to talk to begin with. you're sending the wrong signs. You're sending the wrong cues by entertaining somebody you have no interest in whatsoever. And that's when they get to that parking lot. She finally puts her foot down and says, "No, I'm not going with you anywhere." That's what she should have said in the first place, right? And then it's the shot design here that I really enjoy in the parking lot, where in the foreground you have Cheryl walking. In the background, you have this dark figure of Rodney following. And then there's a close up of her legs moving faster. And then him coming behind her, his legs running up behind her. Boom. I'm not going to say anything else what happens then. You're just going to have to watch the movie.
The
Okay?
breathing is what got me. Her breathing was just that was very triggering. Like, you know how you want to escape something and you're just like I have to get out of here. I know you have fight or flight. She was fleeing. She was trying to get to her car. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Oh my goodness, that part right there, that directing and that just that 45 seconds was one of the best. That's a and for suspense, for horror, it just made you feel uncomfortable. You wanted her to get away. Like it was just one of those things that's like, oh, please go faster, hurry up, get out of here.
Yes. The use of dramatic irony is real. I mean, it's done very well. And because you wouldn't have that dramatic irony if our movie didn't begin with Rodney. Right? Because you could have done this movie so many ways. So many ways. There are so many ways that Anna could have went with it. There's the, oh, we don't need to introduce, she could have introduced Cheryl first. No, it's Rodney and his crimes that are introduced first with victim number one. That's what's introduced. So you have this dramatic irony that the audience is dripping with, right? When they see the characters make these decisions that are like, no, what are you doing? No, right? So, I think the way she chose to tell that story was that was great. That was really good. And speaking of directing, she is one of the directors to watch. Best New Filmmaker nominee, a 2025 nominee in the Hawaii Film Critics Society. Okay. So she's a 2024 nominee for the Las Vegas Film Critics Society Awards for Breakout Filmmaker of the Year and a 2025 nominee for Best Debut Feature in Online Film Critics Society Awards. And a winner for the Directors to Watch, the 2024 winner for the Palm Springs International Film Festival. So, any more things you would like to say about the directing?
No, I do not have anything else to say about the directing. The quality of acting. So the main character who played Rodney, what is his name, Miss M?
Oh, so the name of this actor, his name is Danny. Danny Silvato. No, well, Daniel Silvato. He played
So
Rodney.
he gained weight to play this role. He usually wears his natural hair, but he wore a wig for the movie. Just wanted to put that little fact out there. Little nuggets, little facts.
Yeah, yeah. The quality, his acting is it's spot on. Daniel, I like your acting. That's what's up. You got everybody into that creepy feel. I mean, you did a great job with the creepy feel. That creepy feel was just really good. I mean, you gotta be able to pull that out. You have to be able to get it. And I liked it. Do you have a favorite actor or character, Miss P?
Although the guy was a horrible, horrible person, I liked Bachelor number two because he kept it real. Like he was horrible. Like he was a chauvinist, he was misogynistic, he was everything that a person shouldn't be. But he was the only one in the whole movie that tried to help Carol. I mean, honest person, honest
Oh,
character. Because he
yes.
said, "Watch out for him. He is horrible."
Yeah, watch out for that. He, I think he called him a Oh wait, well, I can't repeat that here. I'm like, I guess I
Mm-hmm.
could, but I'm not. But Bachelor number two is portrayed by Jedediah Goodacre, and so yeah, he's a really good actor here, just a really good actor, and I enjoy Anna Kendrick's acting. I think we always enjoy her acting, and I like it. I think it's a different role for her, and I love her progression, in her film resume and her portfolio from Pitch Perfect to this. This is legit. This is my first time seeing anything in it with Daniel Zavato. We know about Tony Hell, him in that wig. Oh, that wig. But but that's what they were in those days. Nicolette Robinson, who was trying to say that Bachelor number three is a serial killer. I think that was really good. I was trying to think about, okay, what was that purpose of that scene where we see her later and she's teaching and she comes home and then the boyfriend's there with flowers? And I was thinking about the purpose of this scene because for me it doesn't push the story forward. So I'm thinking just cut the scene, scrap it, right? But after thinking about it for a few seconds or minutes or so, I realized the purpose of the scene. Okay, you have the boyfriend who's going to apologize, more than likely saying, I should not have been dismissive, right? And I think that's what you need to see, and I think that's what you need to hear. All right. Because so many times males, even if they don't mean to, they're dismissive, and they're not listening to you give your female experience. All right. And I think so I see the purpose of that scene.
Well, I'm even more simplistic than that. She's a teacher, and I think that's what people didn't really focus on. She was teaching little kids, and she just felt this unnatural ability, like she wanted to help, you know? And so she felt bad for leaving her friend there by herself with that guy, with the killer. Then also, what was bad about it was that after he did his whole little, yeah, are you sure? Why would he be on national TV if he was a killer? That, when people make you feel stupid, like he gaslit her. He gaslit her, horribly gaslit her to make her feel like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know if that's the killer or not. You're just talking, you're just saying things. So he gaslit her. Then on top of that, when he came and he was waiting at the steps, he was basically like, I was wrong. I will support you. Let's go to the police office. And as soon as
Yeah, the
she did that,
boyfriend. Yeah.
and as soon as she did that, they dismissed her again. They made a report. She was like, I made a report in December. Dismissive. It was like, yeah, well, I don't know who you talked to, so I don't know what you want me to do. Dismissive. He dismissed her the whole entire time. Every time that she came to say, hey, this man is a killer, or this man killed my friend, or this man did this, everybody was dismissive of all the females in this whole movie. They were all dismissive.
Yeah, they were dismissive. Very dismissive. And for any males watching this, I would like to say, please listen to your mothers, your sisters, listen to your girlfriends, your wives, listen to your daughters. Because even still today, it's 2025, and we're still being dismissed. For like a personal experience of mine, you know, I'm on a bus and it's literally empty. This guy comes on and he looks at me, he sits next to me. Like, you could have sat anywhere, right? And I didn't follow my first mind to just get up and sit in another seat. I should have. But there's a car that cuts the bus off, causing the bus to like just jerk. And this male's hands end up on my vagina and my breast. So I take him and I literally throw him off of me. And the bus driver's like, haha, yes, right? And I'm in the moment, I'm like, you don't touch me. I let you sit next to me, but I should have followed my first mind. And I told my niece, don't let people just touch you. Okay? There are rules here. These are social rules that we are aware of. You just don't have the right to touch me. And the male present in the room said to her, listen, if a guy touches you, don't throw him off of you, okay? Like your aunt did. Okay? And I'm like, really? So she's just gonna let this stranger just touch her on her vagina and her breast? Really? Is that what we're gonna let him do? He might try to hurt her if she throws him off. He might try to hurt her because she pretty much said, "It's okay for you to touch my breast and my vagina. It's okay." So he might think it's okay to do more to her that she doesn't want done. And then, this individual says to my niece, he says, "Well, you don't fight back." I'm like, okay, if somebody's gonna rape you, and I say, just put yourself in the shoes of a person being raped, okay? Because it happens to males too. Males are raped too, okay? Somebody goes to rape you and pushes you forward. What are you gonna do? He said, "I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm gonna fight back." But you don't fight back. So basically, lie down and take it is what you're telling my niece. Lie down and take it. That's dismissive. It's dismissive. Okay, is dismissive of a woman's own emotions and pride. How would you live the rest of your life knowing that you didn't fight back when you were being raped and somebody was trying to murder you and you got physically hurt to the point where you have disabilities for the rest of your life, like some of Ted Bundy's victims? How would you feel? All I'm saying is, in here, don't be dismissive. This is for everybody. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the sex. Do not be dismissive of people when they talk to you about matters of this importance. And that's all I gotta say. Anything else you want to say, Miss P?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Well, I guess that brings us to number 2, sound quality and effects.
There really wasn't any effects because it was just you didn't see a lot on camera, which I was happy about. You didn't see a lot on camera. You didn't see a lot on like there wasn't a lot of blood and stuff. So that was a plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the sound quality was actually really good because you heard like I keep going back to the parking lot, but you heard the footsteps, right? You heard his footsteps. You heard her breathing, her panicky breathing. Like stuff like that I love because you don't have to do all the and it wasn't the sound built up the adrenaline for that little part. It was you heard her shoes click clacking through the parking lot trying to get away. You heard his boots click clacking. She knew he was following her. She knew she had to get to her car. And it was just one of those and she was breathing hard and you could hear the breaths and you could hear his breath. So I think like the sound quality and the effects alone, I would give this whole thing. I would move this movie up to a Carolina Reaper almost because it really. I'm moving my hot sauce score to a Carolina Reaper, not just a ghost, but a Carolina Reaper.
All right, all right. Moving it up, moving it up. And that's why we have PNM's movie criticisms criteria, because sometimes when you really bring it through the criteria, sometimes you do change the score. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have an official Carolina Reaper. Any other Carolina Reaper things elements that you want to add, Miss P?
I really like this movie was very triggering, like I said before. But just there's elements that are so good that it deserves a Carolina Reaper.
What I like about this film is that it's based on a true story. Listen, it doesn't matter who you are out there. Listen to your gut. Follow your gut. Do not ignore it. And that is the lesson that this movie is telling us. Okay? Follow your gut. Well, I guess that brings us to number 1, cinematography. Tell us about that cinematography, Miss P.
Cinematography, my favorite thing. This movie was shot beautifully. When he was in Wyoming, we didn't really see when he was in New York, so most of the stuff happened in California and Wyoming. The opening shot in Wyoming, beautiful. The photographs that he was taking, like not of the women, but of the scenery, beautiful. Like you can't get much, and they did it on location, I do believe. So the cinematography for me was beautiful because you could tell the night from the day. You couldn't see. It wasn't like you couldn't see anything. Everything was, the brights were brights and the darks were darks, but they worked together seamlessly.
Yeah, it was very nice. You did everything, everything. The master shots. You have It's just wonderful, wonderful. I guess I could have talked about some of those shots and directing or and production elements, but those shots, and it's insane, isn't it? You have these beautiful, serene shots, just gorgeous. The sun is coming up, and I think about Amy, the runaway. I think about how we have the scene cut to her with the bright sun, and he says, "Lift your head up to the sun." Kind of like she's free and she's basking in it, right? And then she says, "Rodney, Rodney, Rodney." That's it. Cut back to the dating game. And the scenery is just gorgeous. Nothing is happening out there. Everything is doing what it's supposed to do. The sun is shining the way it always is shining. The air is blowing serenely. It's just peace. But against the backdrop of this peaceful atmosphere, a heinous crime is being committed. A disturbance in the area. It just adds to the story because that's how they all start. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and then something sinister, something dark and criminal begins to stare. Anyways, it's just one heck of a story. One heck of a story. If you haven't seen Woman of the Hour, directed by Anna Kendrick, you really need to. It's an amazing film. Your writer is Ian McDonald. Wonderful. And we got to give our cinematography a shout out too, because, we need to talk about our cinematographer as well. Okay. And our cinematographer, director of photography is Zach Cooperstein. Okay. And if I didn't say your name right or anybody, just drop a nice line to me. Say, "Hey, Miss M, this is how you say it." Yes, that's Zach Cooperstein who did our cinematography. Yeah. Well, Miss P, is there anything else we need to talk about?
Nope. Just come to our Patreon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, come visit us and talk about it. And drop some lines about what you think about the film and everything. Let's start a discussion. Talk with us. We would love to vibe with you. Talk with us, engage with us politely. Okay? We would like to have an educated discussion. We always would love to talk and engage with you. Yeah. So come join us. Join us for next week too. Well, everybody, I'm Miss M, and I'm about this piece.
And I'm Miss P. Bye.
See you later. See you next week.